Call to order the Austin and Jefferson Township Park Board for July 14th, 2025. Everybody's had the minutes from our last meeting, June 9th.
I did not. Did
They're
you
in the email.
I thought he sent out the email.
I didn't get one.
You need to check your email, make sure it's the right one.
But if not, it should be right there. Got a copy right now, but because I think he sent it out June 19th. So,
Oh yeah, it looks like, Tammy, you replied to it because I put the wrong date on it too.
Okay, man.
So you must have reviewed them.
I must have reviewed them then, and I maybe didn't print it off. Sorry.
yeah, I see what you're talking about because it says Park Board 414 on the
Yeah.
top. So that really needs to be 6/9/20. Because I think what it is, we had the minutes from April to approve. So the only thing we really need to change was the meeting date from April to June. Was there anything else in the minutes? Anybody notice? If not hear anything, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Trails, don't think any big updates on that from the perspective of the Wells County Trail side of thing. I think we're still, for the Pokebotch Trail, they're still waiting on the federal grants to see what happened, how much funding they're getting this year, if they're getting any, because with all the budget cuts they're doing, it's getting slim, but I think they're still process of getting that done. At the last town council meeting, I think Glenn stepped down from the Pokebotch task force. So if there's somebody in this group who wants to be part of that, to represent ASEAN, they meet what, Wednesdays? I can't remember. I think like the third Wednesday.
We meet in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, the third Wednesday of the month in Fort Wayne. It's like during the day too. So that kind of leaves me and Michael out, and so either one of you guys want to do. I know I emailed you, John, about maybe doing it. I just don't have the exact time for it. I keep forgetting to ask Michael Atzenheiser what time they.
I think you said it was like 3:30, something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about the only other thing with the trails. If somebody from the board wants to represent the town for that, that's out there.
Okay.
If you're interested, just we can let the council know that's. But if not, we'll just pass it along to the town council, saying nobody wants to do that.
You said that, what was the Pokebotch task?
The task force, so that's the
That's it.
big group for all the counties and towns that need
Right.
to get that trail dialed in.
As you mentioned, I won't be able to do that for work responsibilities.
Correct, and that's what I just started a new job, and that's the same thing with me. So I won't be able to pull that one off. All right. Anybody else has anything about the trails? Okay. We'll move on to the summer concert series. We do have the concert coming up here at the end of the month on July 26th. The official start time for the concert 6 goes to about 9. Hopefully, maybe not that late. We do have 2 food vendors, 1 alcohol provider coming out. Just trying to dial everything in. It looks like we're getting good response right now from people on Facebook with the posts.
Who's going to be your alcohol provider?
It's going to be the golf course. Yeah, Timber Ridge.
Okay, shoot, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same place that did for the June 28th. The biggest thing on that, we still need, like I said, I sent out the email, we'll still need funds for that. We're going to run a little short by the time our third concert rolls around, once we factor in all the security, and because we'll at least have to have one officer out there for our concerts because we're providing alcohol. You have to have security for that. Then just the expenses of the bands and then the sound, the production. So let's send another batch of letters out to the businesses and here in Ossian. That was about 35 plus letters out to the businesses to drum up some that way, because the response for the first time around letters, I only had, I think, 1 or 2 businesses in Ossian donate anything. So
What's your cost gonna be for that, you know?
right now we're going to be about, doing my numbers right, we're going to be about $1,900 short for both concert, for the total for everything. So don't have a lot, but it's still a big number when you're still struggling to get anything. But I guess if I get some response out of the businesses we hit, that'll help cover that a little bit.
So, did we sent out the initial business ones? We didn't send out anything community wise?
I sent some to the community, and we did have good response from some of the community ones. Because basically what I did was send it out to the ones who donated in the past. And quite a few of those people have donated, but some of them haven't. So it's just kind of hit and miss on people donating for that summer concert series. So maybe one thing we'll do is try to, the day of the concert, try to see if we can get people to donate then too. So like you said, you'll get some people to come in and but yeah, I'll let everybody know for sure what time, because we'll need to get out there a little bit before the we'll need to get out there before the concert to get some stuff set up, get the basically a certain area where people have to stay with alcohol drinks because you can't leave a certain area. Trying to get, hopefully some people from the Rotary will volunteer to help with parking and stuff like that, because we do have one concerned citizen who wasn't happy with some of the parking for the June 28th event. So we'll try to hopefully keep some of that in control there. But there's plenty of parking out there at the park, so people shouldn't be, and with the new access drive, we shouldn't have too many people going down the side streets anymore to come into the park. I know that was a big issue for a lot of people in the past.
And the concern is around one of the side streets that,
Correct.
unless there's a massive crowd, parking shouldn't need to occur there.
Right, we shouldn't have to have people parking on any of the side streets. And I think Bunn Street is completely cut off from the park now it's just a big enough path for golf carts and people walking. So people shouldn't be driving down Bunn Street anymore to get to the Diamonds or anything like that, because that was an area we had issues with prior to, was parking on Bunn Street and people turning around on Bunn Street. So I think that will be hopefully addressed now, since the access drive's done and it's more of a walking path instead of a driving path now. Anybody else got any questions about the concerts coming up? Like I said, I'll let everybody know. A little bit better ETA once I get word from the production company and the band on what time we need to be out there to kind of help set up. Larry, you want to present a little bit about fireworks? Try to keep it as short and sweet as you can. We gotta be done before
So you
6:30.
got an executive meeting on it?
Yep.
I just wanted to see if there's any comments on the fireworks on the hill. Parking was an issue. There were a lot of cars parked out there, and then fortunately they got the asphalt down 2 days prior to the event. If that wouldn't have been down, we'd have been in really, really deep trouble. I did have one request though. Now that they've got the asphalt, the asphalt parking lot done, we set up some temporary handicap parking out there, but you got to park on the grass to use it. And I didn't know if you guys wanted to take those signs that I had out there and maybe set them up on wherever you'd want to set them up on the asphalt, the closest. I got 4 signs, So there could be 4 spots set up on the asphalt, so people don't have to walk too far.
Right.
Where I've got them right now, I've got like one way down here and one way down there, and everything in between is going to be handicapped. But you guys won't need that many. But I don't know if you wanted to use my signs. If you don't want to use my signs, then I'll pull them and, you know, do something with them. But
So there's the 2 existing
Correct.
handicap spots. Do we think that's enough for what we're projecting, like attendance wise?
Yeah, it's always tough to say how many.
2 is not very many.
Right.
I mean, the signs will just go to waste. Like I say, if you want them for free,
Okay.
if somebody wants to put them up, just pull them up from where they're at and
Move them
stick
to
them
where
where they
they-
want them.
So we'll look at that and see what we can do with it. So
Okay.
if nothing else, we'll put them aside and
Save them for later or something.
save them for later. So we can do that.
Okay, that's all I had. You guys got any questions for me?
Nope. Seemed like it was a big attended event. So
Yeah, food vendors did very, very,
I heard a lot of those sold out. So
yeah.
The one thing, I got 2 for you actually, Larry. So one of them for just a feedback for next year that might be helpful is coming up with some type of a map you can publish on social media, kind of pointing out where things were. So like the vendor area at the far north side, I think people were kind of unsure of where that was. You could see where the car show was, obviously. Face painting was under the pavilion, but it wasn't very clear to people to go there. So I had a number of people stop me and like, where'd your kids get your face painted?
Yeah, there was we had the battle of the bands going on that night. There was a big fight between everybody wanting everybody to hear what they were saying, and the DJ didn't get a chance to promote things like the craft show and the car show and the face painting.
Right.
And so next year that'll be taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, you know this, like when we do the hometown Christmas, that map is really helpful for people to know,
Yeah.
hey, this is where I can go for that, so.
Well, I don't know if you saw it, but I had about a 4-foot by 3-foot banner made that I didn't use, but next year I was going to mark on there where everything was
Gotcha.
at. And then also, yeah, we'd get more information out over the internet.
Gotcha. The other thing was, did you have issues with getting the food vendors access to where they were set up with pedestrian traffic? I know that one of the food trucks kind of fell in the ditch, right, and we had to get them out,
Well,
but I just want to make sure we don't have a safety issue of when they're pulling in, you have kids
Right.
walking from the playground and that kind of thing.
Well, all of a sudden, yeah, Jurgi's, I had him lined up to park where I wanted him, and he didn't think that was the best place in the world. So he said, how can I park up there? And I said, well, you know, there's a pretty big swale there. If you think you can park there, I don't care, because it would have been fine. It would have been in line with all the other food trucks. So yeah, did you see his black van that was
Yeah.
behind there? The rear wheel was about a foot off the ground.
Wow. It
Yeah,
was
they
more
had-
than a foot.
I said it was more. He had both of his vehicles stocked. So
Yeah, so it just, the problem with the whole thing was volunteers. I could not be in 12
Right.
places at one time. Yeah, next year that will be addressed also.
Yeah, and I understand the volunteer thing. I was just making sure, like, is there a time where we say, hey, the food trucks come from this time to this
Oh,
time, and
yes.
we're going to block off the
2 to 3.
playground or something like that?
They were supposed to be there and be set up by, they could come at 2 and be set up by 3.
Gotcha.
They all knew that. We had one lady had Mexican food, came in at 8 o'clock, said she had vehicle problems, and somehow she ended up in the middle of the car show. So I tracked her down and took her all the way around, and fortunately she did very, very good. One of the places that ran out of food was the Mexican food. And I checked with her before I left, and I said, how's things going? She was just wiping off the sweat. She said, I'm so busy. So she probably did pretty good, even though she got there late.
Yeah. All right, that's all I had. Thank you for putting that together, Larry.
You're welcome.
I heard a lot of positive comments about the fireworks. They thought
Oh, the
they were
fireworks,
awesome.
the boys know what they're doing with the fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best around. And they shoot them off that 30-foot hill.
Yeah.
That really helps. Okay, thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the baseball. Little League, they just wrapped up their season about the end of June there, so I think that same day they had most of their last of their games there, because I think they finished up in Uniondale the following week. Only thing really big feedback I heard from them is probably need to get some more porta pits out there for the restrooms, so the kids, especially for the T-ball, there's no really restrooms right over there, so the little kids have to go either all the way to the pavilion or to the little diamond, and there's a restroom, or the big diamond, there's restrooms there too. So we'll probably need to kind of work with them and getting some more out there for next year. And then the only complaint I really heard about them is on the little diamond, we need to get electrician out there to work on the scoreboard. There's when they probably took out the old concession stand out there, they cut the wires underground, and so there's no working wire. So they had to rig up the scoreboard this year, but it still didn't work all the time. So besides that, I don't think we have much more on that. Hopefully we can get the league out here to kind of go over a little bit more in one of our upcoming meetings, so we can start figuring out what we need to do for next year and stuff like that, because I know that was one of the struggles we've had in the past is communication and get stuff done, because it seems like we're right down to the start of the season getting stuff done. So hopefully we can get that done.
It would be interesting too when they come, just like the number of kids that they had, if that's what we projected and when
Right.
we agreed on kind of the
I know.
contract for rentals and that kind of
Because I
thing.
think they were thinking about 200, but I think they had more
It
than
was-
that.
I think they're projecting, I'd have to look back, but I want to say it was like they had 330 the year before maybe.
Okay, did they have that many? Yeah, well, that's one thing we'll need to find out from them, how many kids they had this year. That way we can, because that makes a difference too on how much they're using those diamonds too. If they get that many kids, they're using it a lot
Oh,
more.
you're right. So 2023 is 160 kids. 2024 was 200, and they were projecting maybe 230 is what was in
Okay.
my mind with the.
I knew they were projecting more than they had last year, so. But it definitely seemed like they had a good amount of crowds out there when I went out there different times. They had both T-ball fields full. They had the little diamond full. Only a couple times did I see them using the big diamond. So, but I think for the big diamond, they do a lot of the games out in Uniondale. It's a little bit better set up.
Yeah, the only thing I was there all the time, and I saw you there a lot too. So, with the new access road, that gravel section is where a lot of parking occurs, and people
Right.
are kind of pulling off. So, I don't know if we need to have any signs on like how far down the access road they can kind of pull off to the side if that starts getting in the way of actual people walking or disc
Right.
golf or that kind of thing. So it's just something that we should think about, because the one night I was out there with one of the league people, and I think we counted it was over 100 cars just in that area, not even using the school lot.
Right.
So
And that just depends on what games are going on. If they're
yeah,
at the
T-ball, there's like
You got
every grandma and grandpa and everybody goes.
and so
to
they're
that,
usually
so,
parking in that gravel area.
Yeah.
'Cause
Park at the school.
And walk.
Over, yeah.
yeah.
And that's a little bit tough for some of the older generation, but not usually too bad. And I usually try to park over at the school too and just walk, but I'm young and I can still do a lot of that. But yeah, it's just like I said, just depending on what games are going on. If it's a little diamond, yeah, everybody can park over at the school, but the big diamond, you can still kind of park at the school and walk over, but the little T-ball fields are the ones that are a little bit farther away.
You may just want to consider doing like a no parking past this point.
Right.
And, you know, similar to what you have going on over by Little Diamond, because emergency vehicles, if they have to get in there.
You're right, you gotta be
you
able to
know,
get in there.
Yeah, exactly. So, probably would look into doing no parking past a certain point.
Right.
There was an ambulance that visited one of the games I was at. So,
Was there?
yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely have to make sure you can get an
For
ambulance in.
T-ball?
One of the spectators was on the top of the bleachers, and it was really hot, and they fainted and fell backwards.
Oh,
And she was probably in her 80s, so they were trying to make sure everything was good.
Yeah. Anything else for baseball? All right. So they got the gazebo out there. They need to do the. I think they still got to do the walk pathway to the gazebo, and then they want to do some decorations, plants, and stuff around that. So that'll probably be late fall, springtime when they do that kind of work. But I'm not sure if they still had funds for the gravel, but I think they were going to cover, or the pathway. I think they were going to cover that.
I can talk to that, because I got a question about it.
Mm-hmm.
The Sciotos asked revitalization
Mm-hmm.
if they would come up with $1,350 to put the sidewalk in. I got a quote, and that's what it was gonna cost, 5 foot wide, 33 foot long. But when I got out there and got to looking at it, that first step going up in the gazebo was over a foot.
Right.
And I was with an elderly guy, and he couldn't hardly get himself up there. So I didn't know, and there probably should be handrails, but I didn't know if you guys wanted, when the concrete's poured, if you wanted it to just, go up slowly, so somebody in a wheelchair could be pushed up there, or how you wanted it done, because it's gonna cost more than $1,350 to get that done.
Right. If you do a ramp or even a step, because either way, you probably need
A
a
step I don't think would work, because then it wouldn't be handicap
accessible.
accessible. So I didn't know if you guys had any thoughts. I was gonna talk to Josh Bartlett, see if Josh had any thoughts on what we should do.
It probably should be ADA compliant, so that we should have a ramp out there.
Yeah.
So I know it's going to increase the cost a little bit, but if you want to rework that quote, and
Well, do you think just keeping the whole ramp, just a concrete ramp, but just making it ADA compliant? We probably have to put them little nubbin things down at the bottom of it too, wouldn't we?
I think
No, I don't think, that's at intersections mostly.
that's for like the intersections, because of the
Yeah.
for blind people, so they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are gonna have to have something on the side though, so wheelchair doesn't fall off.
Well, that's the thought.
Right.
But I see if we start and make the ramp go up clear from the sidewalk that's there.
Right.
It will be fairly gradual and may not have to have handrails or something.
Right.
I was gonna, like I said, I'll get with Josh, see if he's got any thoughts on, he works with that stuff a whole lot more than I do. If he's got any thoughts on what he thinks would be the best way to do it.
Thank you, Larry, for sharing that.
Yeah, that definitely is a nice little thing out there at the
Beautiful.
park.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I
Right.
think it'll hold almost 30 to 40 people.
I think they said 25, but you could probably get a little bit more in there if you wanted to pack people in there. But I think they said with the benches in there, it's about 25 people could sit comfortably in there. So which is pretty dang good for.
Yeah, it looks nice. I was out the day they delivered it, and
Okay.
it does look pretty nice.
Yep.
One thing I'll note on that, I've been out there multiple times, and every time I've been out there, there's some form of trash just sitting on the bench or on the floor of the gazebo.
Okay.
Usually it's just like a water bottle or a pop can or something,
Okay.
but it might be nice to have something there because that's where people are gonna sit and you know,
Right. So we'll probably need to get a trash can put out there.
Yeah.
So we'll get with the guys out there, see if we can get one and get something installed out there for that.
I know you did the post on Facebook about that. Is there any other recognition we need to give for the donation or anything like that?
We probably need to, because I think they still need to officially turn it over to the
Yeah.
town. So we need to figure out, get with the Sciotos and see when they want to do that, and maybe get a news article written up on that too.
I just think as we were talking about the summer concert series and not having great response from people and
Right.
businesses, like that kind of thing goes a long way into, there is some recognition. And,
Right.
it's not just something that happened and seems like the park is taking credit for it.
Correct.
But you should get all the newspaper and get a picture of the silos out there too. They would
Right.
appreciate that.
As I say, I just need to get with them and figure out a time we can get a couple people out there and
You said we need to get this moved over into a donation to the town, so it's town property. Anything that we need to do for that, or is that outside of the board's responsibility?
I don't think so, because I think it's already covered under insurance. It just needs more of a formal, here, we're turning over. If we had keys,
Yeah.
it'd be just,
Tom's aware of it, so.
yeah, yeah, so it's covered under the insurance right now. All right, anything else on that? We'll have to apply community engagement survey. That was in the same email with the minutes, so we might have to circle back on that one. We don't have too much time today. We had to be done by 6:30 today, so.
Didn't I send out a second one on that though, with the actual results and feedback, or was that in the same?
I think it was in that same email.
Okay.
But again, the biggest thing we see constantly with on the Facebook posts that we post is people like want a splash pad out Archibald Wilson. So, and there's other things like that. The biggest is the restrooms and stuff like that was community survey. But yeah, you get people who want a splash pad at Archibald Wilson. Get a couple people who want a pool in Ossian. I'm like, yeah.
What's the cost on a splash pad roughly?
Mike,
Smallest is probably gonna be 50 grand up to $500,000, depending on what you do.
it depends on all the features you get. So we kind of were discussing that before our meeting about what maybe start looking into that. But I think we got other projects that should come before that one comes in. But yeah, so we'll come back around to the community engagement survey here next month. Hope we'll have a little bit more time to dig into that one a little bit. That way we can start building up an idea of what we want to see here the next 3 to 5 years.
What about the pavilion in Belgium? I heard that's not.
Yeah, that'll be brought up here a little bit later. So old business, we did finally get somebody hired for the maintenance
Yes,
position.
yes.
He started last
He
Monday?
started last week, yes.
Yep, so I met him and he seems eager to be out there working at the park, so,
A local person?
He's from
from Bluffton,
Okay.
so.
What's his name?
Doug Miller.
Don't know.
So yeah, he seems all eager to be out there working, and so definitely gonna be, I think, a good guy for helping get stuff done and taking care of the parks. So I think we just have regular summer help besides him, correct?
We've got one guy.
Okay,
But we'll be losing him probably in this month.
Okay.
Because he's a teacher.
okay,
So
but
that'll be going back
hopefully by that time we won't need as
there. Yeah, as much.
much, because the grass should be kinda slowing down.
Yeah.
Alright. The big thing on for new business we have is Methling Park, the pavilion out there. Crystal mentioned that we are locking, the restrooms are closed now for good. Just a lot of vandalism, trash being thrown around. She even said feces on the walls. So just,
Archibald?
no, this is Melching Park. And then that pavilion is just in rough shape. Roof's starting to cave in. One of the posts is completely rotten off at the bottom. So it's just it's becoming a safety hazard. So I think it's a good idea. We'll probably close the restrooms out there. I mentioned to Crystal we may have to bring out some porta toilets for there too, because you got the splash pad out there. You got a little kid, they're gonna want to use the restroom. So for the little time, we're gonna have something else out there. But I think that's really realistically going to be probably next project is looking at replacing that pavilion out there. Because Cause like I said, it's become just a safety issue. Like I said, the roof's starting to cave in, restrooms are not getting you. Like I said, you get an old thing like that, people's like, oh, look, kids go out there, start trashing it, and that's what's going on. And like I said, posts are rotting out there, so I think as a board, we'll probably have to start, that's where we probably need to start focusing our attention to, is getting that completed and looking at what's gonna cost to replace that. But I think if we do, it's definitely not gonna be anything as big as Archibald Wilson, but I think if you had a nice pavilion out there, you'll probably get people who want to rent it, use it, you get more people out there, so hopefully some of that vandalism type stuff goes away. So it's probably, I think, looking at everything like that, I think that's probably gonna be our next, where we need to kind of focus, is maybe out that direction.
Kind of to what you said, I'm trying to think through this, and I may have to give it some more thought, but how can we make it something that is multi-purpose, right? Like not just there's a roof and a couple tables under it.
Right.
What else can we do that we don't currently have that maybe meets something that's on the community engagement survey or
Right.
Needs we've heard. So I'll have to give that some more thought, but I don't want to just say like, yeah, we'll just replace it with what it is if that wasn't making the impact that it needed to be.
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying, like, what can we do to make it more usable, like, kind of like Archibald Wilson is, but maybe in a smaller fashion type deal where you still get a good group of people out there instead of, and that maybe just having a small kitchen out there with good restrooms, and because I think that one of those kind of things kind of helps get use out of that. And it's like, I know, like Bluffton, what they did with Washington Park, where they redid that whole old pavilion out there, and they gets used a lot now. But I know here in Ossian, we're not gonna be able to afford anything like that. But if we could start thinking, hey, what can we do to maybe get more use out of that? Because I don't think anybody uses it really anymore. They don't rent it out for sure. And if they do use it, it's
I would say up until a couple of years ago, they still rented it out pretty regular.
I think we've only had it rented twice this year.
Okay.
It's
So.
been going way down.
Right.
People just,
like I said, if you can't use restrooms and if there's no water or good electricity out there, that cuts back on it, because like you get a potluck out there, some people want to have their stuff heated in.
Yeah.
Is the Spice Park still, it's up and running?
Yeah, I believe it's up and running. There may be, but that's, like I say, if we get something else out there where people would want to go out to use a splash pad more and stuff like that, that's where we just got to kind of figure out what we can do to utilize that park a little bit better. Because I know there's, like I said, we mentioned too, there's not really great parking out there either. And so that, like I say, what can we do to improve parking, access to that park? Is it going to be, what can we do with a pavilion out there so it's more use out of it too? Because like I said, that's probably the other issue, is there's just not a lot of parking at that park. There's a lot of room out there. It's a big park once you start looking around, like, hey, yeah, we kind of got that little lower spot for all the drainage to go. But is that something we can look into of, can we redesign that park to have more use out of it? And if we get people who want to have their pickleball courts out there, and we get people donate that. Like I said, that's what happened in Bluffton, is a lot of people donated money for the pickleball courts there. I think in the Lancaster Park out there, they had 2 families donate all the money for the pickleball courts in Lancaster Park. So you find what people are really behind, and that's where you get some of the donations. Anybody else have any thoughts, ideas about that, or?
Only thought is, I know we're talking about donations, but also probably some investment from our end with potential budget restraints.
Correct.
So we probably need to start thinking through, if that is gonna be a goal of ours, start coming up with some initial plans and pricing to present probably in 2 months. Is that the timing, Stephanie, for like next year's budget? If there is something that we're, targeting, town council would need to have that for next year's.
Yeah, because they should be working on the budget right now. And then I think if the initial draft is presented to town council in August meeting, so less than a month, or right at a month.
Right.
away.
So I just don't wanna miss that if we're saying like, hey, there may not be money in that, totally under, but at least
But-
it's in a plan of, hey, this is what we've
Right.
explored and here's what we'd like, and if it's not available, then we at least know that for the time we can push towards it.
Correct. And that, like I said, if we have to start chasing after grants and stuff like that, we need to, and that's the big thing too, there's grants out there. Some of them, if they're any type of governmental grants, again, they've been cut, more people are fighting for those. But if there's any other private ones, like Wells County Foundation is a big help for a lot of the stuff here in the county. But you gotta have plans, you gotta have drawings, you have to have kind of what your cost is gonna be for any of these grants. So that's kind of where we need to start getting stuff, ideas out there, kind of what we wanna see, and start working towards a goal of, hey, this is what it's gonna be. Whether it's $100,000 or $2 million, we gotta have an idea of what we want and what we can go towards. And like I say, this definitely this next year is gonna be a tough one for funding from the government, because like I said, the state with SB1 cut back a lot. But there may be ways to make that up too, so we just have to kind of work with the budget and see what we can do.
Not only for grants and stuff, but you're talking about, coming up with plans, what might it look like? If those are things that become visible to the community, there might be some excitement rather than just, hey, we're accepting donations for, and there's
Right.
not a goal in mind. I think
Correct.
that really helps.
I think that was huge for the Archibald Wilson
Right.
Pavilion.
Yeah.
And they did some community feedback, like, do you prefer this color roof or that color roof?
Right.
And, that kind of thing, so that was pretty big for all of that.
Yeah, just getting a good direction of where we need to head and figuring out, and if we get lucky and find, like with the Wells County Trails, we got lucky with the 124 project we're doing, that the initial engineering got donated. And that was originally what we're raising funds for this year, and we needed to raise 100,000, but all the initial engineering got donated for that, so that helps a lot. So now we're just raising funds for that project. But we're not 100% sure how much that project's gonna cost until we get a little bit closer to getting that final study done.
So let me ask this, when we're talking about these things, I'll have to look at the specific numbers, but there was quite a difference in when we ask on the survey, which parks have you visited? There was definitely some of them were not as visited as others, and so I want to try to invest in that so that we're pushing people towards all the parks closer
Correct.
to their neighborhoods. But as far as donations, I feel like that's one of the things that like the gazebo is a great addition there, but
Right.
that was earmarked for that park.
Correct.
And so I think we need to make sure that as we're doing those things, we're trying to, as equally as possible, enhance each of the parks
Correct.
in the community, so.
Right. Because we don't want one park fall behind the others. And like I said, the other two parks we have, Maplewood and Sandalwood, each have stuff that needs to be addressed at each one of those too, but they're not as, I would say they're not as concerning. There's a little bit at Sandalwood with the pavilion out there with the concrete, but I don't think it's gonna be as big of an expense as what we were gonna face out at Melching.
Yeah, so this is the numbers for you. I'll have to get the specifics. They're not quite right, but out of the people who filled out this survey, 92% said they have visited Archibald Wilson. I think it was in the last 6 months is what we put on there. 28% said they visited the baseball diamonds, 26% Maplewood, 31% Melching, and 18% Sandalwood. So, the closest to that were from a 92% down to a 31, right? So it's
It's a big difference.
Right. And some of that's to be expected. I mean, if you go
Right.
to any community, there's a, one of their parks is more frequented than others, but
And it just, like some of it is down to what features they have in those parks
and I would say mulching, although it's probably not the most accessible parking, it's kind of hidden in the
Right.
neighborhood. The splash pad is probably why that's the second highest.
Correct.
And so it's really about what can you put in there that draws people to a specific park, so.
Right. Like I say, Sandalwood is definitely hidden. There's not great parking there either, so.
Right.
That's why that one's probably, I think that was the lowest one, right? Was Sandalwood?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that one's just, you got a couple parking spots out front. You just start parking in front of people's houses and you gotta walk in between two houses to get to Sandalwood. But that's why I think Maplewood's a little bit more used. It's right behind the town hall and we got the tennis courts out there, so it makes a little bit of difference too.
What if you close mulching altogether and move the splash pad out to Archbold, and save the, see, when mulching was developed, Archbold wasn't even there.
Right.
But now, a lot of people just go to Archbold because there's obviously more to do there. Mulching's in a bad, it's in a corner of town. I don't know that the children are in that area that used to be in that area.
And that's just the thing, you're always gonna have, the kids are always gonna move around, because as neighborhoods age, and once those people move along, then hopefully some younger families move in, and having a good park out there will bring in more kids too. There
I
is
still
some,
think you have a large number of children up in that area.
right, and then there's a lot of houses in that area too, and that's a good walking distance for a lot of people.
Not to mention, it's still somewhat within walking distance of Country Meadows as
Mhm.
well. That's got a lot of kids in it. So
Right.
I think I think what they were just saying is you don't want to throw everything out at Archibald Wilson. You want to keep it accessible for everybody.
Right.
And that's the point of keeping it spread out. I don't think you can just move the splash pad stuff out to
No.
other park either. Like that would have to be probably trashed and then a
Right,
new splash pad built.
especially with the age of that stuff out there, because it's how many years old now,
The splash pad or
the splash pad?
Splash pad's probably at least 15 years old.
Okay.
I would guess.
And has the features been replaced since that 15
I
years?
think so. No.
So,
Maybe
It's actually
some
surprising
repairs
in a
or.
good way.
right, how
I
good
figured
it,
there'd be more maintenance with something like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think like, I'm very close to Archibald Wilson, but my kids love going to the splash pad, right?
Right.
Like, and I, to that point, like if there were two of them, great, but I don't mind taking my bike over there, bringing the kids over there. They get excited to go to a different park than they normally do. So, the kids that are close to there, hopefully they're, it's easier to get there because it's far enough away from any other park. As a parent, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, go ride your bike over to the other one, right?
Right.
Like, but that one is a block, 2 blocks away. Parents are probably okay doing that.
right,
14 years ago this month.
okay, 14 years ago. But yeah, that's one of the things you gotta think about. People get older but there's also times where people moving in and out, they move to different locations and,
Yeah. This is probably a vain thing for me to say, but it is surprising that we don't have a single basketball goal facility in any of our parks and we live in Indiana.
that's one thing that's where the Belton Park comes into play. There's supposed to be a
Right,
basketball court
I
out
know.
there, but I think the post is there, but I don't think there's any backboard or anything like that.
Because the backboard kept getting vandalized and broken.
And see, that's, again, if we would address maybe the pavilion with a little bit better lighting, something fancier, more people out there. I think that's the big issue we have at Melching is just the lack of people
I
out
will say
there.
it's a lot easier to patrol though than Sandalwood Park and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
I mean, it was super easy to patrol. In fact, police department, we used to lock the bathrooms every night to prevent the vandalism over
Right.
the night and that kind of thing, so.
So yeah, it's definitely, we got a lot to think about, what can we do what would we like to see out there, and like I said, I think we addressed that part, and especially the pavilion out there is kind of where I think we should put our focus towards now is, yeah, I know there's people want swing sets at Archibald Wilson, they want a splash pad out there, And if we get people who want to donate swing sets, we can put a swing set. That's not too expensive to put swing sets out there at Archibald Wilson. But for the purpose of improving parks and stuff like that, I think mulching should be our main, probably more of our priority focus here in the next several
There's
years.
a lot of potential out there.
Correct.
For
Like I said,
sure.
there's a lot of room out there. Like I said, it seems like a good area to be at. Like I said, we can get more parking out there and some more features and stuff like that. I think we should be good.
This is something I probably should know, and I know we're coming up on time, but there are some of the things within the parks that, like the chess set thing at Archibald Wilson, there's the horseshoe pits at Melching, like, is there anything that we are supposed to provide? Like, how do people get access to those things, or do they have to bring their own horseshoes, or?
Is
The
is that all?
horseshoe pits haven't been upkept in a long
No.
time, yeah, so I don't even know that those are usable anymore. The chess sets, though, they get a hold of the town,
Town.
and then they let them into the storage unit to get the chess pieces and stuff out.
Okay. We might wanna put like a sign or something there, cause even as a park board member, I had no idea. Like,
Yeah, I
maybe
didn't
there's just
know.
like a little, we put a sign with a little QR code that says, hey, this is who you contact or whatever. Cause all my kids do is jump on the colors and
Right.
fight each other, but they don't know anything else about it, so.
Yeah, somebody.
They play Harry Potter chess.
Right. Tackle each other.
Instead of horseshoes, would like a cornhole box be
I think
more
that-
usable now than, does anybody still do horseshoes?
There's at Melching, there is a cornhole set out there. It's a concrete
Oh, really?
cornhole,
Okay.
so there is a set out there. But again, it's something that people probably don't really know that's out there. Yeah, there's 2 horseshoe pits and then 1 cornhole set out
Okay.
there. So that there's something out there, but maybe go away from. If we did more of that and people knew it was out there, it probably would get more use out of it. But
Maybe that's where, like, in the spring, you could do like every month feature a park and be like, hey, this is what's available out here. This
Right.
is, what we would encourage you to do. Just to, just like a quick little video snippet or whatever of some of the amenities at each of the parks and say, hey, you're wanting to know where funds going. This is, plans if you'd
Right.
like to donate to this or, that kind of thing. But, you could probably do it this fall when it cools off a little
Right.
bit and have them ready to launch and,
Show
that
them
kind of
off a
thing.
little
But
bit, right.
yeah,
yeah, we can look into that too. All right, anything else?
just to make you guys aware, we do have, a gal has been asked to be put on the agenda for the town council for tonight. One of her concerns is e-bikes out on the trail.
Okay.
It's something that I've been in contact with, Mike Hartberg's office, or getting in contact with Mike Hartberg's office about amending like our golf cart ordinance and that kind of thing. But just, so everyone knows, as it stands right now, there are no electric vehicles allowed on the trails.
Right.
So e-bikes, if they're on the trails, they need to be taken out of e-bike mode and just pedaled. I don't think that is the case.
Right.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so, that is something, another concern of hers is the amount of golf carts that are going all the way around the trail and that kind of thing. We have that in place already.
Right.
So that's going to be more of an enforcement issue, but it is something that council's gonna be looking at as far as addressing the e-bikes.
Right.
So I don't know where you guys stand on all of that, or
It's,
what your thoughts
anymore,
are.
anytime I post anything about Archibald Wilson, I always make the comment of, hey, golf carts can only use this certain section. You cannot use any other section. So it seems like any more of my posts are like, hey, golf carts, you're limited from this stretch here. So, but
Where's everyone at with like thoughts or feelings on the e-bikes?
I think I brought it up the last meeting we had, that they're all over the place and they fly.
right.
Same with the scooters too, the stand-up scooters with
Yeah.
the little,
Because they're all electronic and
Yeah.
if they can't be used at a reasonable speed, we should just not have them.
Right.
Like I said, any of that stuff should realistically yield to pedestrians.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, golf carts, all that should yield to pedestrians. So whether it's any type of bike or scooter,
Yeah.
they should be
I was
I
thinking
just
about
wanted to
the,
make you aware that that is something that we're gonna be
Addressing
addressing.
tonight, you're
so.
right.
yeah, I was thinking about the people that walk multiple dogs, or they've got a stroller and a couple little kids with regular
Yeah.
bikes, that somebody's gonna get run over.
Yeah, and my understanding is there's like 3 different modes or levels of e-bikes, and
Right.
some can get upwards of like
40 mile an hour.
45 miles per hour, so, you know, that's one of the reasons we're gonna be taking a look at that, just to say, you know, reinforce what we have and maybe address it a little bit
Right.
better.
And I know there's at least one kid with a gas-powered one.
Okay,
Gas power is definitely not a.
Yeah.
no,
He always wears his helmet, but you can hear him 3 blocks away.
okay.
He's just zipping and
Gas
zipping.
powered, I'm pretty sure that's a
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Yeah.
So,
What we
yeah,
always find too is that they're not always courteous to say, on your left, you
Right.
know, they just fly by you and it
Mm-hmm.
scares you.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the scary part too is anymore, most people who are out there walking or whatever, they've got earbuds
Buds in.
in, and so they're not gonna hear that anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're out there and you see it, the way it stands right now, there's no electric vehicles allowed on the trails, so something to be aware of, you know, just for the good of the order.
Okay. All right, anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.